The chaos of Cultural Exchange Day had subsided into a tentative calm. The alien students, once panicked and distrustful, now observed the humans' pets from a cautious distance. While the initial shock of Earth's creatures lingered, curiosity was beginning to take root. Krelsh was the first to break the silence. He sidled closer to Percy the cockatoo, whose vibrant feathers shimmered under the atrium's light. "It mimics words to bond, yes?" he asked, still hesitant but visibly intrigued. "Exactly," Percy's owner replied. "Try saying something to him." Krelsh fluffed his feathers nervously, then warbled a short phrase in his native tongue. Percy tilted his head, his crest rising slightly. After a pause, the bird squawked a passable imitation of the phrase, earning a startled squawk from Krelsh. "He speaks!" Krelsh exclaimed, hopping excitedly. For the first time, he wasn't looking at Percy with fear. On the other side of the atrium, Nolara had gathered the courage to approach Sunny the python. The snake's slow, deliberate movements seemed to calm her natural aquatic skittishness. With its owner's guidance, she allowed Sunny to drape lightly over her arm. "It feels smooth," she said, her voice almost a whisper, "and warm. Not at all like the predators of my oceans." Sunny flicked his tongue at her, and Nolara managed a nervous smile. "I still do not understand why humans choose to keep such creatures, but I admit it is calming." Meanwhile, Braxcree stood stiffly as Luna, the black cat, circled him. The feline moved with calculated grace, her green eyes fixed on the insectoid student. "It's studying me," Braxcree said, his mandibles clicking nervously. "She's curious about you," Luna's owner explained. "Cats are observant. Once she decides you're not a threat, she might even let you pet her." As if on cue, Luna leapt gracefully onto Braxcree's table and sat, her tail flicking lazily. Braxcree froze, but when Luna began purring, the sound resonating softly, he found himself oddly soothed. "She makes this sound often?" he asked, his antennae relaxing. "It's how she shows she's content. It's also why humans find them relaxing companions." Braxcree tilted his head. "I suppose it is not unpleasant." In the center of the room, Max the border collie was doing what he did best, making friends. He had drawn a small crowd of aliens, who laughed nervously as he performed tricks under Ellis's commands. When he rolled onto his back, inviting belly rubs, even Professor Glixix couldn't help but ripple with amusement. "Perhaps these creatures are not as dangerous as I feared," Glixix admitted, though his form still wobbled whenever Max got too close. Ellis grinned. "Told you, they might look scary, but they're just part of who we are. Humanity wouldn't be the same without them." By the end of the day, the Galactic Academy was transformed. Alien students were no longer horrified by Earth's creatures. They were fascinated. Krelsh asked Ellis about Earth's birds. Nolara wanted to learn more about reptiles. Even Braxcree admitted he found Luna oddly dignified. As the students prepared to leave, Professor Glixix addressed the group. "Today has shown us that understanding another species' culture often requires overcoming fear. Humans, your companions, have taught us much about your resilience and your capacity for connection." Ellis gave a mock salute. "Anytime, Professor. And just wait. Next year we'll bring something even cooler." The alien students exchanged nervous glances, but this time, there was more excitement than dread. As the humans packed up their pets, Glixix reflected on the day. Humanity was still a mystery, but one thing was certain. Their ability to thrive on a death world and still form bonds, both with each other and with creatures many would consider dangerous, was what made them truly unique. And perhaps, just perhaps, the galaxy could learn from them after all. The Galactic Academy was a masterpiece of diplomacy and architecture, a sprawling station of crystalline towers and bioorganic structures that hovered in neutral space. Here, the brightest minds from dozens of species gathered to share knowledge and culture. Each student brought their unique perspectives, shaped by their homeworlds, lush paradise planets, serene aquatic havens, or calm, temperate biomes. Then there was Earth. Earthlings, humans they called themselves, were a recent addition to the interstellar community. Despite their short tenure, they were already infamous. The galaxy referred to them as Deathworlders, a title bestowed upon those who thrived on planets deemed uninhabitable by saner species. Acid rains, tectonic upheavals, ravenous predators. Earth was a crucible of chaos, and humans had not only survived it but flourished. Professor Glixix, a gelatinous, semi-translucent Torgathy, hovered at the front of his class, his amorphous body rippling as he addressed his students. As you know, he began in his melodic voice, the cultural exchange day is upon us. Each of you is encouraged to bring something that represents your species' culture, history, or way of life. The classroom buzzed with excitement. Krelsh, a wiry avian student with brilliant orange feathers, raised a wing-like appendage. I intend to bring the luminar crystals of Tka. They sing when exposed to light. Fascinating, Glixix replied, his form shimmering with approval. I shall present a fragrabloom from my hive, said Braxcree, an insectoid student with a voice that clicked like machinery. Its scent is known to calm even the most anxious of minds. The aquatic Nolera chimed in, her voice flowing like a gentle stream. My people's bioluminescent kelp will surely captivate. All eyes turned to Ellis Carter, the lone human in the group. He leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, a mischievous grin on his face. Oh, I've got something special planned. Just wait. The room fell silent, unease rippling through the alien students. Humanity's idea of special rarely aligned with anyone else's. Mr. Carter, Glixix probed carefully, could you perhaps elaborate? It's important to ensure that your contribution is safe. Ellis's grin widened. Completely safe. Totally harmless. You're gonna love it. Professor Glixix's gelatinous form sagged slightly, a gesture of resignation. Very well. But remember, this is a day of understanding and harmony. On the day of the event, the Academy's central atrium sparkled with alien artifacts, flora, and fauna. Students from countless worlds bustled around, marveling at each other's displays. The air hummed with the gentle song of luminar crystals, while the faint glow of Nolera's kelp illuminated one corner. Braxcree's fragrabloom emitted a soothing aroma, drawing small crowds. Ellis arrived late, a large crate balanced precariously on a floating dolly. Several other human students followed, each carrying similar containers. Their faces bore expressions that ranged from excitement to suppressed laughter. Krelsh tilted his head, feathers ruffling. What is in those boxes? You'll see, Ellis replied, wheeling his crate to an empty spot. He slapped the side of it, the metallic clang echoing ominously. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare to meet Earth's finest. The crowd gathered as Ellis unlatched the crate. The first occupant was a medium-sized, fur-covered quadruped with bright, alert eyes and a wagging tail. The creature burst out, barking joyfully and dashing around the room in a whirlwind of motion. What is that? Nolera exclaimed, recoiling slightly. This, Ellis said proudly, is Max, my border collie. He's a dog. Man's best friend. The room was alive with the hum of alien artifacts and the muted chatter of students, but all attention snapped to Ellis Carter and his entourage. The humans had positioned themselves near the center of the atrium, their mysterious crates drawing a growing crowd of curious and wary onlookers. Ellis grinned as he lifted the latch on his crate. All right, everyone, meet Mac. With a burst of energy, the border collie sprang from the crate, his tail wagging furiously and his sharp bark echoing across the room. He darted around, sniffing at every alien he encountered, his boundless enthusiasm a stark contrast to the frozen, wide-eyed reactions of his audience. What is it doing? Krelsh, the avian student, squawked nervously, hopping back on his talons as Max approached. "He's just saying hi," Ellis replied, motioning for Max to sit. The dog obeyed instantly, plopping down and staring up at Ellis with eager eyes. "See? Perfectly trained." Krelsh remained unconvinced, his feathers ruffling. "It sounds like an attack creature." Before anyone could respond, Ellis's classmates began opening their own crates. A vibrant cockatoo fluttered onto a perch, spreading its crest and letting out a piercing whistle. "Pretty bird," it squawked, mimicking in perfect galactic common. Krelsh let out a startled cry. "It speaks." "That's Percy," said a human student. "Cockatoos are highly intelligent." As Percy continued to screech alien phrases, another student unveiled her contribution. A sleek black cat with piercing green eyes. The feline stepped out gracefully, pausing to survey the room as though it owned the place. "That is a predator," Braxcree hissed, his antennae quivering. "Relax," the student said, stroking the cat's back as it began to purr. "This is Luna. She's harmless." The final reveal was a ball python, coiled lazily in its container. The snake's smooth, scaled body glimmered under the atrium's lights as it flicked its tongue curiously at the air. "A constrictor," Nolara exclaimed, backing against the wall of the atrium. "Are humans insane? You keep serpents as companions?" The humans laughed, clearly enjoying the reactions. "Ball pythons are completely docile," the snake's owner explained. "They're just curious little noodles." The alien students didn't share their amusement. Max, the border collie, had resumed his energetic circuits, herding Professor Glixix as though he were a particularly stubborn sheep. The gelatinous professor rippled in visible distress, trying to evade the dog's relentless enthusiasm. "Control that creature," Glixix demanded, wobbling as Max barked again. Ellis snapped his fingers, and Max immediately stopped, sitting obediently at his side. "See? Perfectly harmless." "Harmless," Braxcree clicked, his mandibles trembling. The predator hissed. "The furred one stares into my soul, and the feathered beast screams at me in my own tongue." Ellis held up his hands in mock surrender. "Hey, we're just sharing a piece of Earth culture. These guys are like family to us. Trust me, they're more likely to cuddle you than hurt you." The cat, as if on cue, leapt onto Braxcree's table, fixing him with an unblinking gaze. He froze, paralyzed with fear. The chaos continued as Percy the cockatoo began mimicking Max's barks, creating a cacophony that reverberated through the atrium. Nolara stared, wide-eyed, as the python slithered toward her tank of bioluminescent kelp, its tongue flicking curiously. "Please remove it from my exhibit," she pleaded, her usually calm voice rising in panic. "Relax, it's just exploring," the python's owner said, gently lifting the snake away. Ellis clapped his hands, addressing the crowd. "All right, everyone, I know this might seem intense, but these are Earth pets." The atrium was quieter now, though tension still hung heavy in the air. Alien students maintained cautious distances from the human pets, but their curiosity was undeniable. Even Professor Glixix, who had spent the better part of the last hour evading the exuberant border collie, was intrigued enough to call for a discussion. "Perhaps," Glixix began, his gelatinous form wobbling slightly, "it would be beneficial for the humans to explain these creatures. I believe I speak for many when I say their existence raises numerous questions." Ellis stood at the center of the group, Max seated loyally at his feet. The dog wagged his tail, seemingly oblivious to the uneasy stares directed his way. Ellis gestured to his companions. "We're happy to explain. Let me introduce you properly. This is Max, a border collie. That's Percy, a cockatoo, Luna the cat, and over there is Sunny, a ball python." "The snake has a name?" Nolara asked, incredulous. "Of course," Sunny's owner replied. "Naming pets is part of how we bond with them." Krelsh raised a wing cautiously. "But why bond with such creatures? They are predators. Even the one you call Max. It has fangs." Ellis chuckled. "Well, technically, most animals have fangs or claws, But it's not about their potential for harm, it's about trust. Humans have lived alongside animals for tens of thousands of years. Dogs, for example, were domesticated from wolves. They've evolved to work with us, protect us, and even help with tasks like herding livestock. Herding? Is that why it was circling Professor Glixix? Krelsh asked, his feathers twitching nervously. Exactly, Ellis said. Max is a herding dog. It's in his DNA to organize and protect things, even squishy professors. Glixix let out a resigned wobble but didn't interrupt. Percy squawked loudly, drawing attention. Pretty bird. Danger noodle. Why does it mimic speech? Braxcree asked, his antennae twitching as he observed the cockatoo. It's a sign of their intelligence, Percy's owner explained. Cockatoos are social animals. Mimicking us is their way of communicating and fitting into our social groups. It's a little like how you might learn a new language to interact with someone from another planet. The insectoid student seemed to consider this, though his gaze remained wary. Intelligent, yes. But the cat? It is clearly a predator. Why keep such a creature? Luna, as if sensing the attention, stretched lazily and began grooming herself. Cats were domesticated because they hunted pests that ate our crops, Luna's owner explained. Over time, they became companions. They're independent but affectionate. And their purring has been shown to reduce stress. Stress reduction? Nolera repeated, eyeing the python now coiled peacefully in its owner's hands. And the serpent? Ball pythons are docile and harmless, Sunny's owner said. Holding them can be relaxing. Their slow, steady movements are soothing to some people. Nolera hesitated, then tentatively reached out. Sunny flicked its tongue, and she recoiled, but the snake didn't move. It doesn't strike? Nope, the owner assured her. It's just curious. A quiet murmur spread among the aliens as they absorbed this information. Despite their initial fears, they began to see these creatures not as threats but as extensions of humanity's strange adaptability. Professor Glixix cleared his throat. It seems, then, that these pets reflect something fundamental about your species. An ability to forge bonds even with creatures that could harm you. Ellis smiled. Exactly. We see potential, not danger. That's what makes us Deathworlders. We don't just survive. We thrive by building connections. The room fell into a contemplative silence. For the first time, the aliens weren't horrified by the pets. They were intrigued, but not everyone was convinced. Krelsh eyed Luna warily. If it purrs to reduce stress, then why do I feel like it's plotting my demise? Ellis grinned. Give her time. She'll grow on you. The aliens weren't sure if that was comforting or terrifying.